On this episode of Motorsport recently, it's NASCAR week, and we look back at the Advanced Auto Parts Clash, the ARCA 200, and preview the 61st Daytona 500. We're also going over all the other news stories in This Week in Racing. We have Caitlin Penny, the wonderful Chris Whitfield, and myself on the mic, and a very special guest as well. This is Triple Crown Racing. Let's get into it. Good evening, good night, or as Chris says, good potato for some reason. And welcome to Motorsport recently. Yes, it is NASCAR week, but we definitely do have some other interesting news as well from the world of Formula One and Virgin Australia Supercars. We have the usual suspects on the mic. We have Caitlin Penny commentary all the way from the UK.
Hello, everyone.
We have the wonderful Chris Whitfield.
Good potato to all.
Yes. And we have a very special guest. If I can find it. Yes, we do. We have a very special guest. He is the youngest SSL LMS driver, drivers champion, the youngest SS LMS rookie of the year, two-time SS LMS champion, has 8 career victories, and is a one-time SRCK champion. Please welcome, everyone, Joshua Franks.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me.
Right. Well, Caitlin, how far would you say your knowledge of NASCAR goes?
It probably goes round and round in ever-tightening circles, very much like the series. But
Oh,
I think that may be the best answer I've ever heard to a question about NASCAR.
yeah,
Okay,
I'm gonna sound like a basic oval driver, but almost every type of racing is a circuit nowadays. So I mean, you can't be hating on us for laps, even though it's only left turn laps at some track.
I know.
Anyway,
Jeopardy writers hate him.
That's probably the reason we have brought Joshua Franks onto this episode, because I don't know particularly much about NASCAR, and Chris does, so he needs somebody to talk to. So it's good that we have a racing driver in our second episode. Of course, SSLMS stands for Southern Super Late Model Series, and SRCK stands for Southern Road Course Karts. So Joshua Franks is, he's in stock car racing, so he's on the inside. So he's perfect for this episode. Shall we get into the news?
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
definitely. Let's get into it.
You have my
Let's do
permission
it.
to enter the news.
Into the news. Chris, do you want to take it away?
News has been entered.
Yes.
Oh,
And we start-
Lord.
And we start with the first traditional race of the Monster Energy Cup Series season, which is the annual Advanced Auto Parts Clash, an exhibition race featuring the pole sitters from the 2018 season, past Daytona 500 winners, and the chase drivers from the 2018 Monster Energy Cup Series playoffs. That Paul Menard drew the number 1 pill, meaning he would start on the pole for the 75-lap race. Cut to lap 8, the first caution of the day came out when the sky started leaking some kind of rain-like fluid.
Would that be rain, Chris?
It would be. It would be, yes.
Coincidental, that.
The red flag came out for 21 minutes while they dried the track. And Well, the winner of the first segment of 25 laps after the red flag was lifted was, I believe, Austin Dillon. Was it not Joshua?
I believe it was based on strategy. Right, their strategy got crazy towards the end of that stage, so I do believe it was Austin Dillon that was able to pick up that stage win.
Yes, and
Who was, if I remember correctly, last year's Daytona 500 winner.
Correct.
he was the
I do know
Daytona
something about
1.5.
NASCAR.
Yay! He won the
Yay.
Daytona
Right.
1.5 last year. At the beginning of the second segment, confusion ensued as multiple cars were not in the positions they were supposed to be in. Kyle. The race restarted on the 32nd lap and took 3 laps to get back to the single file train until the caution came out again for lap 40 for yet another rain shower. The red flag came out once again on the 42nd lap for approximately 10 minutes. The race restarted on lap 50. 5 laps later, all hell broke loose as a side draft gone wrong collect 15 of the 20 cars in the field, including Paul Menard, who was leading at the time. Rather conveniently, the skies opened up for a third time, mercifully. Due to persistent heavy rain, the race was called, and Jimmy Johnson, who turned the 21 of Menard, was declared the winner of the Advanced Auto Parts Clash.
Was a bit naughty, even by NASCAR standards.
Yes, personally, that was a tough one to watch. Honest, it was, nobody wants to watch single file racing. When you go to a race, you want to see people, we want to see cars racing each other. We don't have that in this aero package. It's dreadful.
That's something that people thought this aero package would change, that cars would be able to make different lines and stuff. And in my opinion, the last time that NASCAR actually had a consistently good restrictor plate race, as people call it, one of those super speedways, I believe was when that big wreck, I forget what year it was exactly, that big wreck with Tony Stewart.
Yes.
And almost collecting the whole field, almost collecting the whole field. And
yes, the 2015 race at Daytona.
Yeah,
the Pepsi 400.
I believe that Matt Kenseth ended up winning that race, or I forget. I know Jeff Gordon finished third. I'm not exactly sure who won that race. It was like either Kyle Busch or Matt Kenseth, something like that.
It would have been Matt Kenseth, because I believe Kyle Busch has not gotten a points-paying victory at a restrictor plate track.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
In qualifying for the Daytona 500, it was a Hendrick Motorsport sweep of the top 4 positions. William Byron scored the pole with a lap of 194.304 miles an hour in the Exalta sponsored Chevrolet Camaro. Alex Bowman will share the front row with Byron on Sunday with a lap of 194.153. The rest of the positions were set on Thursday during the Gander RV dual races. The first race saw William Byron and Jimmy Johnson start on the front row at the green flag. Trouble early for Brad Keselowski as he was outside of the zone allowed in his pit box on the 12th lap, resulting, I believe, in a 1-lap penalty and taking him out of contention for a good result. Lap 35, Kyle Busch gets turned around on the back straightaway off the bumper of Jimmy Johnson. Kevin Harvick barely held off Paul Menard and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to win race number 1 when everybody waited until the last 2 laps to make their move. The real battle, though, in the first race was for the final transfer position among quote-unquote open cars between Tyler Reddick in the 31, Ryan Truex's 71, and Parker Kligerman's 96. Kligerman had to beat both the 71 of Truex and the 31 of Reddick to get into the 500. With an assist from Kyle Busch, Kligerman sailed past Reddick and held both of them off in the Gaunt Brothers to put the Gaunt Brothers Toyota, a Canadian team, may I add, into the big dance for the third year in a row. The top five were Kevin Harvick, Ricky Stenhouse, Paul Menard, Matt DiBenedetto, as Dale Jr. would say, and Martin Truex Jr. Race 2 began with Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott on the front row. For the 60 laps that followed, it was essentially a single-file train until 1 to go. On the last lap, with help from Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano swept by leader Clint Bowyer and took the victory in race number 2. The final spots for the 500 were between Joey Gase, Brendan Gaughan, and Ryan Truex, who, despite finishing behind Parker Kligerman in race 1, was reliant on the 27 of Casey Mears racing his way in. In the end, Gaughan and Mears made it in, meaning the two drivers that unfortunately will miss the Daytona 500 are Ryan Truex and Joey Gase. The top 5 for that were Joey Logano, Clint Bowyer, Eric Almirola, Denny Hamlin, and Kurt Busch. Failing to qualify for the race, Ryan Truex and Joey Gase.
Ryan Truex is quite a big name in NASCAR, actually, so it's a little bit of a shock to not see him getting in.
Well, actually, Ryan Truex is the brother of Martin Truex Jr.
And that's exactly why I
former
was getting
champion.
Confused. Yes, okay, ignore me.
Although, I will say, it is kind of sad that... because that's the Tommy Baldwin racing team that has basically that nearly won the race actually in 2012, and would have done actually had they actually not restarted after Juan Montoya blew up the jet dryer in turn 3.
Yes, it was that race. Oh goodness.
Rest in
Yeah.
peace, Juan Pablo's career.
Yes. Oh, I think he's doing all right. He's got a IMSA WeatherTech ride. He's all good, I think.
He's good.
He's still alive,
just-
and he's not in tiny little pieces. So
Yeah, well-
like the jet dryer incident.
I'm just saying that's gonna stay with him all the time. Anytime he gets near a safety car, I feel like their palms get sweaty. Like,
It's like hellfire.
At least he
Hello,
got off
Burton.
much better than the
Wow,
jet dryer
yeah.
did, certainly.
Yep.
But yeah, that was 2012. So, am I right in saying the next thing to look out for in the NASCAR scene then is the 500 this weekend?
I'd say so, yes. Which is on Fox, of course, for those that have Fox Sports. I believe also in the UK it is... Well, it's BT Sport, is it not?
I would have no idea because no one here watches NASCAR.
And Jack,
Well.
what is it over in Australia?
Fox.
It's Fox.
I don't watch this often. I think the last time I watched race on TV was an Xfinity race that had happened several months previously, back in 2013, some time ago.
And that's
first
why
race-
we've got, yeah, and that's why we got Joshua here.
Mm-hmm.
The first race I ever watched on television was actually the Motegi race from 1998. Yes, I said
Ooh.
Motegi.
Now, was that NASCAR?
It was
I-
one of the exhibition races they ran in Japan.
Because I didn't know that NASCAR ever ran Motegi.
They did once. Actually, no, twice technically, because they ran the West Series. What is now the K&N Pro Series West
wow.
series.
Yeah, okay.
If
And-
this tells you about my connection to NASCAR, even being a little kid, only being a few months old, my first NASCAR race that I ever technically watched was the Daytona Redemption race I won't say redemption, but the healing race for Dale Jr. and Michael Waltrip at the end of the 2001 season.
Oh, the Pepsi 400.
Yep, that was the
2000
first race I'd ever watched.
Wow. Okay.
That was a great
Right.
race, honestly. That was one of the best races, I think. NASCAR, go back to that aero package.
For real.
Especially with the roof blade. All right, shall we move on to the ARCA series?
Yes.
I'll be up for it, sure.
First of all, we have a connection here as far as Josh goes. Josh, is there I heard tell that you wish to drive in the ARCA series at some point?
Yes, there's been negotiations about my uncle trying to be able to fund a team or be able to obtain a license to a small 1 or 2 car team for me and my cousin to be able to run either part-time or hopefully sometime in the future a full-time schedule for the ARCA series and try to go and test our skills in that department. So definitely looking to be a bright future for me and my family. Definitely happy to have the possible opportunity in the future.
My goodness, that's fantastic. I wish you the best of
we-
luck in that.
Thank you.
We certainly wish you the best of luck here. In getting
Shall we move on to what is going on in the ARCA series presently?
yes.
Yeah.
In the final season as a standalone series before NASCAR bought it out, the newly renamed ARCA Menards series kicked off their calendar with the annual pilgrimage to Daytona with the Lucas Oil 200. Christian Eckes started on the pole for the 80-lapper and led the field of 35 to the green flag. Problems early on the third lap when defending ARCA 200 winner Michael Self, who got tipped into a spin by Willie Mullins in the 3-car on the third lap, dropping both from contention. Lap 42, Eric Caudell makes heavy contact with the safer barrier coming onto pit lane. He emerged from the car okay. The car, however, was not. On the 48th lap, wild ride here for Connor Hall, sliding sideways in the turn 4 banking, managing to keep it off the wall. JJ Packin, the 61, and Derek Lancaster's 29 crashed in avoidance. Lap 71, Thad Moffitt, the grandson of 7-time champion Richard Petty, and Jason White got together off of turn 4, eliminating both from the event. 2 to go, and Todd Gilliland, the son of David Gilliland, hooked Brandon McReynolds, who then turns into Brett Holmes and sets off a 4-car schmozzle on the backstretch, which collected Gus Dean's car. This set up a 1-lap shootout with Harrison Burton and Todd Gilliland, but the 18-year-old was not to be denied. Burton scores the win, followed by Gilliland and Kyle Quinlan. The next race of the ARCA Menards series is at Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida on the 9th of March. Shall we get some supercars? Shall we do some supercar stuff now? Which would be Mr. McKenzie's department, would it not?
Yes, it would, but would you like to... Is there anything else you want to say about the ARCA race first?
Well, it was more exciting than the Cup Series event.
Definitely. I would
Josh, you've got
say I
anything
was
to
very.
say?
I'm just going to go ahead and put out there. I was very impressed by a couple of truck drivers that was in the ARCA Series race. I was going to go ahead and say teammates and affiliates of Burton, Gilliland, and Decker all did pretty well in the ARCA Series race. I was very impressed with the end about how Burton and his truck teammate, wasn't teammates in ARCA, but his truck teammate was able to get out front, and Gilliland was able to get Burton that push for the win. So I was very impressed with those three drivers right there.
If we are still on the topic of NASCAR, though, with the 500 coming up, I was wondering if any of you had any sort of predictions for what to look out for, because I've heard that NASCAR is extremely unpredictable, and it'd be interesting to see if you're along the right lines.
Well, I don't know where you've heard NASCAR is extremely unpredictable. I can probably I can probably give you a few I can probably give you a few things that have happened for the past few years and over and over and over again that's going to happen.
The leader being crashed off at the final corner, that tends to happen.
No, not that one, not that one.
It's quite likely.
No, we're not at the Roval.
Yeah, we're not at the Roval. We're not at the Roval, even though that was one off. But I'm gonna go ahead and say Chase Elliott's gonna choke, and I'm saying that as a guy that has known him personally. Like, Chase Elliott comes close so many times, and I always hope that he wins it, but sometimes it's just not meant to be. I wish this would be his year to be able to win it, but just hasn't had the speed that I have seen to be able to go out there and win the 500. So hopefully he can build that up and be able to get up there. But definitely, I'd say that I'd pretty much be looking at a number of the Ford guys out of the Ford camp. They've shown pretty good speed in that new Mustang. I think that their real big test is whenever after Daytona, whenever they hit Atlanta at the first mile and a half. I believe that's when the Mustangs will be first put up to the challenge. Same as when the Camaro won the 500 last year after being the new car, and then kind of fell off until Larson and Elliott started getting the hang of the cars and had some success about mid to late season.
Well, we'll see at the weekend, I suppose. Now on to the Virgin Australia V8 Supercar Championship with Jack. That's going to be your forte. What's going on over there?
Well, over the past week or so, and over a couple of other weeks as well, all the liveries have been released. So it's not just Formula One that's doing it, and they do look quite good. I believe the first of the liveries that we're going to be talking about today is Erebus, and they revealed their Penrite liveries. Their cars this year will be driven by David Reynolds and Anton De Pasquale. They look pretty much the same as last year, but came out. This one was from Tickford, so we actually had an opportunity to see what the Supercars liveries would look like on the new Ford Mustang.
Oh.
Yes. So Tickford was, I believe, the first to reveal their livery. This was Cam Waters' livery. This was the Monster Energy livery on the Mustang.
Oh, my word.
Needless to say...
yeah, I've just looked it up. It looks utterly fantastic.
Looks brilliant. It looks absolutely fantastic.
I love a good bit of matte black on the car, and with the highlights of the monster scratch, the vibrant green. So good.
It's really, it looks fantastic. Now, after the factory split with Nismo, and the team was reformed into Kelly Racing, we saw what their cars would look like for the first time without Nismo, and the Castrol number 15 car for Rick Kelly was unveiled. which looks pretty good actually. So that was one of the liveries that were revealed. Then we had Triple Eight unveiling their car for Shane Van Gisbergen and Jamie Whincup. No Craig Lowndes this year, so no Autobahn.
But Craig Lowndes is going to be in the number 88 for the Enduro Cup, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he is.
I didn't know he was in. Okay, jolly good.
Isn't he with SVG?
I forget.
Shane Van Gisbergen.
Well, he's with one of the two. Then we saw another Mustang livery from one of the big teams. That was the Shell DJR Team Penske livery, which will be driven by Scott McLaughlin and Fabian Coulthard. That car looks pretty much the same as last year, but again, it looks really, really good on a Mustang livery. Awesome promo video as well. Techno revealed Jack LeBloc's livery. Words today, very good. Brad Jones Racing also Slade's livery, which for some reason I've just realized they've put Time Slade's livery, so very good. Interestingly enough, Mark Winterbottom's first ever Holden livery was revealed with Team 18. So that's after a very, very, very long stint with Tickford Racing. Then there was also Walkinshaw and Andretti United, and they revealed their liveries for Scott Pye and James Courtney. Move on to the little team. Matt Stone Racing, also known as Big Mate Racing, who I've met the driver, and I got to spend a day with them in Newcastle, which is very cool. That was at the Newcastle 500 last year. But they have had, I think, they're one of the only teams that have had a radical departure from their livery last year. So last year, their livery was black and white. It's not black and white. Blue and white. And that was on, of course, the last generation Holden Commodore. Now, after X888 an X888 new generation Commodore, they had a radical livery change, and if you've seen it, it is now, they've moved away from their old colors and they are now running a silver livery,
which I think looks beautiful.
It does look very good.
I love chrome liveries, I really do. Like,
yeah, especially
well,
like in the Australian sun, they just sort of glint. It's fantastic.
Well, would we say it's chrome as such?
I'd say chrome, yeah.
Yeah, more or less.
I mean, Santino Ferrucci's running a chrome livery in IndyCar this year, so essentially, like, first of all, we know which car is going to drill into people, but
yes, yeah.
I was about to say, you'll know who he is, and you'll know which one of them you most people don't particularly like.
Yeah, just follow the outrage.
Just follow the guy who texts while in an active pit lane. But neither here nor there. The chrome livery honestly is beautiful. And actually, I will say, if anyone from DJR Team Penske is listening to this, first of all, thank you. Second of all, I want, for the retro race, I'm just going to put this flat out. I want a green stuff and a iron blue liveries for the retro event, because especially the green stuff livery, they ran a Mustang in 1985 at Bathurst in the Australian Touring Car Championship.
So I want to keep talking about Matt Stone's livery for a little bit longer. The main thing that comes to mind is it looks so much more upmarket than the previous livery that they've had, and that might actually attract sponsors. which for a little team like Matt Stone Racing is very important.
Yeah, and it gives you good exposure, whereas like a black or a matte black, except for Monster, of course, because that matte black livery is stunning. Or a white livery. Like, back years ago, NASCAR teams would have like a all-white livery if they didn't have a sponsor. An all-white paint scheme with like 1 or 2 contingency sponsors on it.
Yeah.
Just to get some sponsor attention, and the TV guys would, well, they used to anyway, they would plug the heck out of them, especially if they had good runs.
Yeah. So I do want to ask, who is the winner for you guys? I think the Monster, and also all the other liveries you can see at the Supercars test, which happened this week as well. Who is the winner for you? Now, personally, I think that the Tickford Monster Energy livery for Cam Waters takes the biscuit.
That's got to be one of them. I think for me, I just love things that scream race car, and I think actually looking up and down some of these pictures, one that stands out to me that I don't think we've really mentioned much is the Milwaukee racing car, the 23, and that I just love the way the red is separated from the white there with that black stripe. It's like something it's just race car. That's what it is.
I will also I also rather like the Irwin paint scheme, that the Irwin livery on the Team 18 car for Frosty.
Yeah,
I think it's actually an underrated livery, honestly. It's simple. It's just a blue and yellow, but it's simple, but also quick. And
it's
like,
it's definitely a good looking car.
It is, but honestly, like, Tickford wins for me for I believe both cars, the 6 and the 23.
Nice.
Caitlin, what do you think? Oh yeah, you already said.
Yeah, I've already said the Milwaukee car.
I don't think there's been a particularly bad livery on the new Ford Mustang, and I know Chris, you had some questions about it because it was 2 doors instead of 4, and being the only 2-doored car in the entire field.
So it is.
And I believe the first 2-door to actually race in Australia since 1992, I believe.
Goodness me, I hadn't noticed. You're right. Wow.
Or, sorry, 1993.
Now,
when,
which would that have been?
It was the old Benson and Hedges BMWs.
Okay.
The old B&H BMW.
Yeah, so it's been quite a long time since we've seen a 2-door car on the Australian touring car scene, and I was about to say a Mustang, and yes, it has been a very long time since we've seen a Mustang, and it's good to see that
1986.
that they are looking very good. I'd say moving on to Formula One.
Yes. Oh my word! The new cars are coming out. Yeah, the new cars have been coming out over the course of this week. Pre-season testing actually starts in 2 days' time. But my goodness, the new cars look fantastic. I'm not really a fan of the new front wings, actually. I have a feeling that they're going to take something away from the authentic nature of Formula One cars trying to go, being the pinnacle of motorsport and going as fast as they can possibly go. I don't really like the fact that they're about to get slightly slower than they did last year, but they still look really, really nice. And some of the new liveries as well. You can't tell anything from a livery. It's like judging a book by its cover. But my goodness, let's face it, we want to judge books by their covers, and the covers look great. So I have a feeling that we're going to be in for a really nice season of Formula One, to be honest.
Anyway, let's get straight into that. So Haas kicked off the car reveals by revealing the VF90,
but
we did talk about.
They revealed
Oh,
the
did they?
livery for it. They haven't revealed the actual car yet.
Nice. Okay then. So they revealed their livery for the VF90 then.
Yep.
And we did talk about that in the last episode, so you can go check that out. Next reveal their 2019 livery was Toro Rosso, and well, have they revealed their car now? That's making me question that. Have they revealed the STR14?
Yes, they have.
Now there really isn't much to say about this livery because it's basically the same as last year's livery. I can barely even tell the difference between the two.
I think they changed the rear wing end plates slightly, like different, like font. But that's about it.
But other than that, it's Command C, Command V. Then we had Williams, which released their car actually on the same day as Toro Rosso, as well as Haas. They have a new sponsor, which is Rocket, and the livery is plain but effective with fade from blue, from white, and the sponsors all makes for a brand new look for the Williams, but no Martini sad face because we love Martini. It's a good looking livery. It's gone, but let's see how the Rocket livery evolves. It looks pretty good.
What is Rocket?
So it's quite controversial, actually, especially in my house, because I'm the only person who likes it. My mum really doesn't. She didn't really explain that. My brother says it's just not Williams, and to be honest, it doesn't really look like a Williams livery at all. Williams is known for much deeper colours and much more aggressive lines and things like that, and that's not what the Rocket car is. It's more kind of ice and cool, but as a racing car, I do like it. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily look like a Williams, but I've compared it mainly to the West McLaren liveries of the late 90s and early 2000s. That's what
that generally faded out from silver and white, and
yeah, but you can sort of see what I'm talking about with the blue and the white on the airbox.
But what is Rocket though? Like, I've never heard of that sponsor.
Me neither. Same with Sport Pezza.
We'll get back to you on that one. You guys can have a look, so we can look that up.
Yeah, they make phones and vintage clothing, I think.
That's a very broad spectrum. That's a very broad spectrum of products.
Or that may be two different companies. I'm not entirely sure, but whatever the case, yeah.
Anyway, then the Honey Badgers team,
yes,
for 2019, Renault released their released their livery and their car for the RS19 on Tuesday. Like the Toro Rosso, the Renault is practically unchanged since the 2018 season. A classic look for Renault with a black base and yellow stripes.
Trust me, though, there's going to be so much change going on underneath that engine cover, and I was just thinking this. I have a feeling that this is going to be a really good year for Renault. They've got one of the strongest driver lineups on the grid. They have they've been improving ever since they rejoined the sport as a works team in 2016, 15 effectively, and I just can't help but feel that this is going to be Renault's year where they return to competitiveness. And, I'm calling it now. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Renault winning at least one race this year.
It might not be necessarily the best year for Daniel Ricciardo, but he has made a move. He's been decisive about it. And I think he's playing the long game, so he's expecting Renault to be very good.
Very much so. It's what's known as a transition year. Basically, yes. Like, great teams are not built overnight. Just look at perfect example. 1996. Perfect example of this. Michael Schumacher joins Ferrari from Benetton. They don't win right away.
Yeah, they sort of did.
Well, in the rain in Spain.
Yeah.
See, I would have more compared it to a team like Mercedes. Now, Mercedes started off. It was either it was 2010 after buying out the Brawn team, and they were very average at first, but look at where they are now, and that's exactly the position that Renault are
Yeah,
in.
but they ascended so quickly. Like 2011, 0 wins. 2012, 1 win. 2013, second in the championship. 2014, domination. Yeah, so
Yes.
it changed very, very quickly, and I have a feeling that Renault is right on the cusp of that and might be about to break into the winning circles.
Yes.
They'll actually be really good unless they'll be really good this year, provided the turbos provided the engine stays under it and doesn't die, like because thing with Renault is I kind of compare them a little bit to what happened in 1982, where
sorry?
they would Renault.
Oh,
Where
with
they
Renault.
would
Yeah, okay.
where they would dominate races. Yeah, I speak it. I say it as like Canadian
Renault.
thing.
Sorry, yeah.
Renault. Yes. They would go out like they would be miles ahead, and then the turbo would break, and then miles ahead with the other car. Blown engine.
Anyway, apparently Wednesday led many F1 fans to be distracted in schools, college, and university, and that was due to the three-car reveal. Now, before I say anything, I did not write this article, so the person that wrote this article, please don't give up on schoolwork, but yes, Formula One livery reveals are very important. And Martin, Red Bull Racing, and Racing Point F1 were all revealed on the same day. The Mercedes was the first car to be released of that particular day, being the 2019 W10 out of the three of them. A fresh look for Mercedes with a silver-looking, slightly more light grey tone with a new design for the numbers and the nose. It looks and basically looks more vibrant and clean. Chris, I know you don't agree with that.
It's the same exact livery. All they've done is diamond plated the engine cover.
I disagree.
Anyway,
It just looks exactly the same as it has for quite a while, except with lighter colors.
yes.
Darker
So as you
colours.
get to the back of the car, it fades in colored black with the Mercedes with triangles all over the engine cover. So as you say, diamond plated. It's a slight departure from the classic Mercedes livery, but then again, it's still silver. Anyway, next up is Red Bull with the RB15. In true Red Bull racing style, they've come up with an extraordinary, which unfortunately will probably end up being only a test livery, which is really unfortunate.
Well, you say that, but I think it looks messy, to be honest. It's a colour that doesn't really work very well. And yeah, it looks good stationary, and it looks good if you're walking around it close up, but on a track, especially zoomed out, it's just a bit messy.
Right,
What color even is that? Like, is it denim? Or
It's
kind of reminds me of like a dark denim.
well, denim's usually blue. It's more like oh golly. Yeah, it's more like kind of matte, not beetroot? I don't know. What do you call that?
It's quite busy, but I do actually quite like it. Anyway, yes, that Max Verstappen. It also did some testing. Max Verstappen did a few laps around Silverstone, and he said, quote, after the first run, I was smiling, very happy with how the car was behaving, plus the engine as well. Very positive. So it looks like the Honda engine seems to be more suited to the Red Bull.
Yeah, well, we don't know that from one test. Plus, you have to remember as well that in those tests, they weren't physically allowed to push the car or test much at all or gather much data at all because it wasn't at an official Formula One test, and there are restrictions on what you can and can't do. So realistically, they wouldn't have got much from that, and that's just kind of Max saying, "Well, it's great to be back in an F1 car again." But Yeah, I'm interested by how Red Bull's going to do this year with the Honda engine. I think it's going to go better than people expect, but how well it actually will go is yet to be seen.
Yes. All right. Now, on the same day, obviously, Racing Point revealed their new car, which Chris was there for. And
Well, I wasn't there for, but I will be on Wednesday because they unveiled it at the Toronto Auto Show,
Yes,
the
they
Toronto
did.
International Auto Show,
Yes,
and
so
it
he'll be
actually
going.
was streamed on TSN, the Canadian provider for Formula One. So basically, the livery is they have a new sponsor this year from Sport Pesa, which I believe is a financial company. But it keeps the BWT sponsor and is still pink, which is the most important thing for Formula One fans, especially those from the old Force India days. Wait, old Force India days?
Which
What
is
year is
interesting.
this?
Which is interesting because I visited the Force India / Racing Point factory over the winter, and one of the employees there told me that the car was absolutely not going to be pink. No way was it going to be pink. Like, and this wasn't just a normal employee either. This was a person who should know, and well, it yeah wasn't correct. So well,
Anyway,
And
so
I will say it actually looks quite good. I
ooh.
I honestly love it.
I think it's messy, especially the rear. Like the way the blue goes, it doesn't go with the pink. It's just like they've taken last year's Force India and splattered some blueberry ice cream on it or something. I don't know.
Blueberry ice cream, I love it.
Just splattered it on the back, flung it on.
uh, anyway, then there was also McLaren with the MCL 34, which Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz will be driving. And it looks quite good, actually. It has the papaya. Yes, papaya. I believe, yes, that is the color.
Yeah.
Orange. Which they do like to tell us it is that color. And then they also have some electric blue triangles from memory on the car as well. And it's looking quite good. And Chris, what are you typing here?
Well, one of the sponsors, I believe, is a chocolate company on the rear wing of the McLaren.
Okay, nice.
Oh, I've just gotten that reference.
Do they
Husky chocolate, of course.
do they make
Which-
papaya flavored chocolate?
I should explain. Oh, in the document, Chris has typed a nice little SpongeBob reference, I believe.
Okay.
Chocolate! Chocolate!
Oh my gosh!
Okay.
But
It's
I quite like that. I quite like that livery. It's actually
Well, it's McLaren. You know, with McLaren, as you said quite rightfully, the last couple of years they've been very much trying to get some of their own identity back in the team, and you know they've been trying to go back to the old papaya and orange colours because that's McLaren. That's how it was when Bruce McLaren was running the team, and they felt that with sponsorship and things they'd lost some of that identity, and now they're absolutely shoving it in everyone's face that they still exist. So yeah.
and there's just something about papaya colored race cars that is just to me. It's fantastic.
Anyway, then we were moving on to Ferrari.
Is it painted? What is the what color? Is it red?
Yes, it is red.
Yes, but not like you remember it.
Matte red, and a much lighter and vibrant scarlet red color. There's more detail on the bodywork at the rear, and the Mission Winnow or Win Now. I don't know. Just depends
Winnow,
on how
yeah.
you want to pronounce Winnow. Some people say it's Win Now. I don't know. There's a bit of questioning over that. logo placed there is another one of their logos located on the halo. The other sponsors are Shell and Ray-Ban, which was seen previously. And we will see the veteran to the sports bashing Vettel and up-and-coming to potential world championship contender either this year or in the future. Charles Leclerc raced that car in the future. And then there was Sauber, which is now Alfa Romeo, which was released on, well, just Alfa Romeo, so they've dropped the Sauber name. And that was revealed on Valentine's Day.
So something good happened on Valentine's Day.
Yes, it did. However, that livery that was revealed is a testing livery. And I think that rounds off.
Basically, it looks like a deck of playing cards. From Frey's description.
And that rounds off the livery reveals.
I must point out with the Ferrari though, look at that! Just the matte colors makes everything so much better. I
love matte.
I
agree with Caitlin on this.
Absolutely.
Matte.
If that was the first Ferrari I'd ever seen, I would be a massive. I'd probably apply for Italian citizenship. I'd want to be Italian. Like, oh my goodness, it's just one of the most beautiful things, and with the matte black on the back as well. God, look at it.
It's beautiful, is what it is.
It even makes the halo look good. It even makes the halo look good because it fits
and
into
that's
the matte black.
impossible.
Absolutely.
Will say is while the livery does look quite good, the purists are going to hate it, and they're going to get rid of it in a year. Because that's just how purists are, really.
Yeah.
Then, because if you remember back in 2016, Ferrari had some white on their car, and nobody liked that, and the
white
purists didn't like
on
that.
a Ferrari.
No
Abomination.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
see what you mean.
We have some IndyCar news.
I'm going to have to duck out, so you guys might need to finish the show for me.
Oh, okay.
Okie dokie.
Yeah,
Yes,
we can do that.
so you do that.
All right.
Dad?
So, in terms of IndyCar news, what have you got?
It's unfortunate news. It is Harding Steinbrenner Racing and Pato Award
They've split.
They have split, unfortunately, citing a lack of sponsorship and a single engine lease. Now, here's my thoughts.
Okay.
Back in the 90s, there was a team known as Team Scandia. It was run by Andy Evans. Andy Evans would actually skimp on every single car that he ran. Like, he once ran the Indy 500 in 1996. He entered the 500 with 7 cars.
Wow.
In 97, it was 5 in the full season.
Goodness.
They actually took out an engine from a brand new engine and put it in with a... They took out an engine with 650 miles on it, put it in a car with a allegedly sick driver, Fermin Velez. Velez parked it after 1 lap.
Okay.
Basically, it was very sketchy, the way he did it. And I just think that, unfortunately, Mike Harding is starting to give comparisons, at least to me anyway, to Andy Evans and his, sketchy way of doing things. Because nothing was heard from Pato Award after the announcement, really. Yeah, nothing was heard from them. Nothing was heard from Colton Herta about his car, although in spring training he was fastest.
Yes, what's happening to Herta? Is he still racing?
Yeah, he's in the 88. They've shrunk to 1 car.
Okay, that's good.
Although Pato's not out of a. Pato's still looking.
Yes.
And honestly, I really hope he gets a ride. I really do. Like, even if it's just one of those like 11-hour deals.
So what do you think's going on then? You think that something sketchy is at play?
I hope not.
Okay.
I hope not. Just for Pato. Although there was talk of potentially doing 8 races with Andretti, but there was a bit of crypticism. My new word, by the way.
Crypticism.
Crypticism.
Like cryptic criticism?
Just cryptic.
Just cryptic. Okay.
Saying,
yes. I get it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Saying, I didn't quite say no to it, but...
But, yes, I see. Well, of course,
Pretty much.
Pato Wood, I believe, would have been the youngest driver on the grid this year at just 19 years old. I don't think there's anyone younger than that. He was one of the last remaining PC class runners in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship, which is where I know him from. When he was in that car that absolutely dominated the Performance Tech that dominated in 2017. But he has driven an IndyCar before. Am I right in saying that when he raced at Sonoma last year, he'd done about 5 laps of practice before qualifying?
Yes.
And then ended up. Did he reach the final
He stuck
session?
He stuck the car in the top 5.
Yeah, he did. So obviously he's got so much pace and so much potential. He's just not going to be allowed to show it, which is a big shame.
Yes. Although we're not holding out hope. I'm not calling it yet until I hear news.
Yeah. Oh, he's last year's Indy Lights champion, isn't he?
He is, which is actually the reason why.
The reason why he's linked to Andretti, because he won it for Andretti.
Well, actually, no. The reason why he's made the move up to IndyCar is because when you win the Mazda Road to Indy, you get a $1 million scholarship, which is good for 3 to 4 races, including the Indy 500.
Nice. That's a really good idea, actually, and I've heard that before. I wish we could have more things like that in Europe.
Yeah, I honestly really hope he gets a ride. I really do.
Well, he's got the pace for it. He's definitely got potential, and I think that in an ideal world where it wasn't so much about sponsorship, then yeah, teams would be silly not to hire him.
Yeah, and like Pato, if you're watching this, first of all, again, thank you. Second of all, any teams that are watching this, you know what to do.
Absolutely, yeah. Good luck, Pato, as well. You're very quick already, and you need another chance, obviously. Not that Pato's going to watch this, of course, but I'd love to be proven wrong. But anyway,
Well, I hope so.
yes, absolutely. But anyway, yeah, is that the news from Indy? Because we've had the Indy test this week. They were at Circuit of the Americas for the first
they were
time.
at COTA. And as mentioned,
the day of the rookies, wasn't it? Absolutely, the day of the rookies with
it sure was.
Yeah, Colton Herta was fastest. We also had Marcus Ericsson was putting in some pretty decent laps there. And who else was going pretty quickly? There was another guy absolutely tearing. Colton Hurt? No, I said Colton. There was another guy absolutely tearing around, another new guy. But yeah, I was impressed by those drivers. Sebastian.
Oh, it was Santino Ferrucci, I believe.
No, I'd never admit to being impressed by Santino. No, I don't. Don't believe
no,
it was
he
him.
had rocket boosters bolted to his car.
Okay.
That's how he wound up. That's how he wound up getting that kind of speed.
I saw
But
Sebastian Bourdais going around for a bit, and Bourdais seemed to be having a whale of a time on the COTA circuit. Of course, when he was racing Formula One, they didn't race at COTA for another 3 years, so he never got a chance to drive that in F1. And now,
in fact, I believe actually Marcus Ericsson's the only one
yeah,
of the drivers that has experience around COTA
probably
with a
that's.
best of what?
Well, that's probably why he was so quick. In terms of F1, he wouldn't have had a great finish because, let's face it, he was never in truly competitive machinery. But yeah, he will be one of the only drivers who's actually been there before. He has scored points at COTA before. He scored a point last year, actually, 2018, at COTA.
We also have some indie news that broke yesterday involving NBC and their coverage.
Jolly good.
It has been announced that veteran sports anchor Mike Tirico, who anchors their football coverage, their NFL coverage, is going to be named as the host for the 103rd Indy 500 for the first time on NBC.
Okay, nice. I've never heard of him, but sounds nice anyway.
Yeah, he's a pretty good. He's a veteran, having covered Sunday Night Football, Football Night in America, and NBC Sports Triple Crown and Breeders' Cup coverage, and
Okay.
the Open, along with NHL.
Well, I believe that's it from IndyCar this week, unless you have anything else to speak about there.
Well, let's get on to. Well, in that case, let's get on to miscellaneous stories and points that we missed and are therefore are covering now. GM, bing.
That deserves a round of applause. That really does. Well done, Chris. We said you were going to make a jingle for that, and you absolutely have done. So, yeah, well done. I actually have no miscellaneous stories this week. Just nothing has come up. So,
We do.
Have you found anything?
We do. Let's start off with some Blancpain news. And
yes. Okay. Yeah. I know what you're going to say.
Are
This-
we?
I believe this is about Rio Haryanto.
Rio Haryanto, yes. He's going to be driving for T2 Motorsports in the Blancpain GT series.
Fantastic! It's been too long since we've seen Rio on a track, so it'll be good to see him back, and I hope he does well.
I like him. He didn't get this shot he really deserved in Formula One because he was with Manor, but
Well,
although credit to where it was due, I loved Manor. Like I'm one of those I can go on record as saying that that car like that team just epitomized Formula One, like the little guy.
they were the heroic underdog, yeah, definitely filling the shoes that Minardi left. But whatever the
And
case,
Super Aguri.
and Super Aguri, oh yeah, but Super Aguri sucked. Sorry, but anyway, yeah. In terms of Haryanto, he was obviously never going to stick it to the big guys in Formula One, and really, that's not what he was ever going to do. Although I do feel sorry for people branding him as a poor driver simply because he was a pay driver. Like, yeah, he was a pay driver by every definition, but at the same time, he is still an extremely talented driver. And while he may not be world class, he still is one of the I'm pretty sure you'll find he's one of the quickest drivers in anything else in any other series. So yeah, he deserves to drive and a shot at Blancpain, and we'll see if he can create himself a better career in sports cars.
And I believe actually Lexus has a new team in Blancpain because
Or is it
Emil Fry's
Farnbacher?
gone. I'll have to check on that.
I believe it may be Farnbacher Racing that have come in from the GT Open, but we'll check that. Yeah, the Lexus is a car that's always impressed me with GT3. It seems like it has a lot more potential than its drivers have given it, and I'd be interested to see kind of what it could do if it had a silver driver behind the wheel. I don't think there's ever been a silver driver that's raced a Lexus.
It
Not-
is
I
actually
didn't mean
Panis
silver, I meant-
Barthez.
Oh, yeah, so it is. I didn't mean silver, I meant platinum, sorry. Yeah, Panis Barthez competition, run by Olivier Panis and Fabian Barthez, former Barcelona goalkeeper, I believe, who, yeah, have come along with a Lexus RCF GT3. No drivers announced quite yet, but I believe there are a few that are expected to join. Have you heard anything about that?
I have not, unfortunately. When is the first Blancpain?
The opening round is at Monza in April, so oh yeah, I've just looked it up. It's the 14th of April, so roughly 2 months from now.
Beautiful, and let me tell you, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, certainly. Blancpain's one that you're always interested by. I'm interested by one of the Barwell Lamborghini GT3s this year, because it has one of the youngest lineups I've ever seen. Sandy Mitchell, James Pull, and Jordan Witt. That is a bunch of drivers who I know from very recently, the junior categories, like James Pull, for example. He did F4 British Championship when I was watching that as recently as 2016. And then Formula 3 British Formula 3 Championship, sorry, in 2017 as well, along with a brief outing in the Formula Renault Euro Cup, Northern European Championship, sorry, not Euro Cup. But yeah, switching to GT cars, and we'll see how he does in that. And alongside him as well, Sandy Mitchell, the young Scottish driver. That's going to be a very interesting lineup, simply because they're up and coming, and they're in the Silver Cup, so they're not expected to challenge the front guys. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them really surprising people. Then you have the classic lineups. You know, Bentley Team N Sport is always one of my favourite. I absolutely love the Bentleys. You know, Black Swan's got your own Blickermollen, Mark Lieb, and Tim Pappas. Yeah, Rover Racing already announced both of their driver lineups. Valkenhorst got one. It's looking like a very decent Blancpain grid, as we're always going to get.
Absolutely, and let me be the first to say, is it Monza yet? All right, so moving on to some other.
Yeah,
I'm not repeating the jingle.
Yes. Okay. Do you have any other
We do.
news stories?
We've actually got some. Like, quite a few here.
Okay.
Max Verstappen has completed his public service for the FIA
What did he do?
by going to the FIA International Stewards Program in Geneva.
Come on, he just gets to go on holiday for his punishment. Like what? Oh,
Hey,
word.
Hey, if I was getting reprimanded, I'd want to go on holiday. Like, pay me.
If I get to go to Geneva for breaking rules, then heck yeah, I'm becoming a I don't know, a rebel or something. I don't know.
All right. It says here in the document also, prepare for trouble and make it double because Jenson Button stroke Benson Jutton.
Benson Jutton?
Yes, a fine individual. Is partnering with RJN and Honda to start his own Blancpain team with the Honda NSX.
Yes,
the team will be
he
called
is.
Jenson Button Team Rocket RJN,
Oh my goodness.
which is named under the banner he raced with under his karting days.
Oh wow.
And the livery of that looks absolutely stunning.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it does. Of course, Jenson Button is still a driver very much near the top of his game, who actually just won the Super GT Championship last year. Yeah, just because he's retired from Formula 1 doesn't mean he's not world class. He's a world champion. He's still got a lot to come, and as a team manager as well, we'll see what he's capable of. Worked for Earl Bamber at Blancpain this year, so yeah, Jensen Button
And
here. We'll see how he
and
does.
also keep in mind, we also heard that there's a slight chance he might be going to Baja.
Earl Bamber or Jensen Button?
Jensen Button.
Okay, yeah, that seems
Jensen
like the kind of
Button
thing
has
he'd
been
do.
thinking of going to Baja, apparently. I'll have to check on that.
That does seem like the kind of thing he'd do. Okay, well, that's
And-
going to be another thing to look out for.
And some Le Mans news quickly. Ben Keating is set to enter the first Ford GT for customers
Nice.
in this year's 24 Hours of Le Mans.
So
it will
that's
be
going
numbered-
to be in the AM class then. Yeah.
In the GT Am class, yep. The car actually, according to us, our friend Smoking Puppy, is actually the car that won the very first race for Ford in the
Oh my
WeatherTech
goodness.
Championship.
And it's returning to the Le Mans scene.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
that's so
is the
nice.
2016 Ford GT. So thank you, Smoking Puppy, for that. Unfortunately, Jack's not here, but I'll cover the TCR Australia TV deal, which is going to be live and free on SBS. Which is great news for the series. It really is, to get exposure, because SBS is a great TV partner to have in Australia. So yeah, I'm completely butchering it. I'm sorry, Jack, but Esteban Gutierrez.
Yeah, I'm sure
Sorry, go
Jack
ahead.
can add to that next week, so that's okay.
Yeah. Esteban Gutierrez has been hired on to continue as simulator driver for Mercedes' Formula One program.
Okay.
The Formula One is smoking again, as Philip Morris and BAT have announced sponsorship deals with Ferrari and McLaren are being investigated.
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh.
Now, whose sponsorship would that be towards?
Philip Morris, would that be Mission Winnow?
Ah, now, yeah, it may well be. I've heard people saying that Mission Winnow is effectively Marlboro, and it's just Ferrari's sneaky way of getting a big red M on the side of the car again. And yeah, so I'm not entirely surprised by that, and yeah, this is just hearsay, I should point out, so I don't know the full details, but that wouldn't be shocking to hear. Did you say it was going to be Mercedes and Ferrari, though?
McLaren.
Oh, McLaren. Yeah, what if McLaren got to do with it?
I'm not actually sure at that, but I think it's BAT, British American Tobacco.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it sounds very much like a tobacco infringement. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the news, and we are out of here.
See you next week, everyone. Bye.
See you later.